afternoon. Welcome to the Pacific Region Forum, sponsored by the David Lam Center at Simon Fraser University. I'm Rosalie Tong, Associate Professor of the David Lam Center of the Pacific Region Forum. Our speaker for today is Dr. Jeff Zhu, who is AVP at Neusoft America. He has held several executive positions with the Neusoft Group, including Vice President, General Manager, CTO. Dr. Zhu got his PhD from China, and he spent 3 years as a postdoctoral fellow, senior research fellow at the University of Utah. So without further ado, we'll turn the floor to Dr. Zhu.
Thank you, Leslie Tang, and also thank you, Paul. And it's my honor to be here and share some kind of experience or kind of like the following topic with you. And my topic is War for Talent. So as you know, China in the past 30 years has grown so fast. There are huge demands and also it's a huge challenges. Because when business is growing, I think we all thinking the people, resources is the key success factor. So if you look at this chart in China, this is talking about the ITO, we call IT outsourcing, which stands for a foreign company, we can offshore outsourcing and also the outsourcing. There's differentiation between outsourcing. One outsourcing is, for example, a Canadian firm is an X company and outsource their IT job to a local company here in Vancouver or in Canada. That's purely outsourcing. Offshore is a company in Canada outsource the IT works to the overseas countries like China or India. So offshore outsourcing and outsourcing, that's a definition different. So here is talking about IT marketing is totally including domestic market in China, which means a Chinese company outsource their IT task to local company, plus overseas company outsource to China. So from the 2009, it's keep growing. This you can see the value is like is $1 billion. So for the 2009, it's 41 billion, but by the 2014, this year, it's almost 250 billion. And also growth rate still keep increase. It's this yellow line. It's a 48%. And this, because there are so many business opportunities, in the dollar-wise, this opportunity is growing, so there's a high demand for the resources in China. And in Chinese market, recently, especially for 2013, and also for the 2014, marketing expect 6 million fresh graduates from college. And the college only can supply roughly, the marketing is expecting is 5.5 million graduates. And then the university only can supply 4.5 or 4.6 million students. So there's a gap, it's 800,000, the resources or fresh graduates shortage. As I talked to Paul, it doesn't mean that everyone's supposed to get the job, and then we still need like 800,000. Some people still get no job. So that's basically from a headcount wise, there's a gap, the demand and the supply. But on the other side, and also industry is looking for the know-how, learning ability, professionalism, and innovative. That's kind of like what the industry, I think for the university, because we call it academic world, the delivery students most, I think, care about their GPA and their scores. But industries cares about their skills, hands-on skills. And that's kind of like how we can narrow the gap. Make the students, when they graduate, immediately gets into kind of like a hands-on. So that's kind of like an industry and the academic as a university can work together. Because for fresh graduates, normally even after internship, because you still kind of like, when you spend like a 3 months to 6 month internship at the company and then hired, it still take about 9 months to get fully productivity. That's in our experience, which costs lots of money for the company and also now customer. So when I deal with our, especially MNC, multiple nation companies, I always talk to their executive. We try to save. They said, can say, your cost is low. I said, can say, because those are fresh graduates. To speed their can say, productivity, we have to train them. And then there's an additional investment and so on. So that's kind of like so how the students at a university, especially at their junior, especially for senior years, I would recommend you, find every opportunity internship and find a good company, and then you can learn more and more. And also, it's another thing is that we noticed that it's expectation. For example, the students, different college or different university graduates, they have different expectations. When we hire, for example, the university students, fresh graduates from Tsinghua University or Fudan University, Jiaoda, Shanghai Jiaoda University, those are top tier. And they have a high expectation. They all want to be a general, which means they do not want to be a soldier. And the tier 2 or tier 3 graduates, they kind of like they have a relatively lower the expectation. Especially, I will mention later, we have called Northeastern Neusoft Information College. And we hire 10 to 15% of fresh graduates. This university has 26,000 students. It's a private university fully owned by Neusoft. Why we hire so many fresh graduates from this university is because the students in this university, they are at tier 2. They have a relatively lower expectation, and they want to be soldiers, starting from soldiers to be general. So that's a good thing. Another thing is that I can see, they spend a lot of time, not just a 3 months intern. They spend like a 6 months, even 9 months internship in the company. So this is a kind of like a very interesting, you can see, scenario in our company or this university and working with the industry, because the university owned by the company. So we often, for example, my BU we call business unit, and I have about like 1,200 people. So sometimes as a big, projects come in, and I have to ramp up quickly the resources. See, within 4 weeks, how can I do? I go to the market, hire, even like get a CV, screen the CV, interview takes a lot of time. I do not have that time. What I'm normally to do, I go to the university, talk to their vice president, and say, I have this demand. I need, say, 100 people, just 4 weeks. Can you help me out? And then we work out this kind of intensive course, intensive training. That's a one way we do that. And also some big, like especially for a big financial institution, Goldman Sachs, Fidelity, or some others, they come to me and say, okay, I need a financial background and IT, say COBOL programming or Fortran programming. I don't know if you are now as a students, I think there's a Lexi programming language. Think about it, like people can do COBOL programming, Fortran programming must be 50 years old. And you can't get that, I can say, like 60, 100 people within 3 months. I can say, like, I did a research on this one. When Fidelity come to me, this is a real story. Fidelity come to me and say, Jeff, we are going to need 150 COBOL programmers with finance background. Can you do me a favor? I say, can say, how long it will take? I said, I give you 6 months. I know it's very tough. And then I did research. I say, okay, you're looking for COBOL. I did research on the Chinese market. Find all those insurance company, finance, because it's IBM AS400. Those are Lexi, mainframe machine. And then the whole, if I can say hire, hold the market, those kind of senior people. All those can say senior, can say COBOL programmer from the other company, I still can shortage of less than 150. What I can do, so I go to the university, talk with the vice president. I say, I gotta really demand. This is a Fidelity, because Fidelity is not, well, in the US, maybe in North America is famous, but in China, people doesn't really know about it. They know Bank of America, but they do not know Fidelity. And then I say, Fidelity has this demand. And he said, 6 months, we can get that in 3 months. Okay, so we kind of we collect 300 people, 300 classes, like 10 classes. They are already can see finish their first year, second year for the undergraduate. And then we say, okay, let's now convert these people. We do we call customized curriculums. And then training their COBOL programming because they do not have COBOL. At the same time, they do training their finance knowledge. And then Fidelity sent their advice. That's working also well. I told the Fidelity, I say, I do not have finance instructors. So they send the finance instructor. They know their project. So they give kind of like an overall. So we can train their COBOL skills. So 3 months later, we ramp up 200 people. And then we say, okay, we got 200 people. We're screening out 100 because we started with 300. So we still have 200. So you can screen another 50. Say, no, let's keep these 50. So they grow kind of like a size, project size, from original, it's 150 to 200, only 3 months. So that's kind of like advantages of leverage. We say, without the university's help, we can't, finish this kind of ramp up or due diligence. So that's basically, So that's kind of like I think is here is that I can say we are looking for the students. First is resources. It's a specific, It's not just can say we are talking about IT because now IT is a really, really generic. In every vertical, they need IT. But they also need the knowledge on vertical side. For example, if it's a finance, insurance, or manufacturing, etc. So IT plus vertical knowledge, that's a big combination. And also the students, I would recommend the students, focus on, combination skills. And even like in China, that's another we call qualifications, especially now there are lots of MNC, multiple national companies in China. They are looking for the people with domain knowledge plus language skill competencies. So I always talk to my, my customers or my partners. I told them, well, if you're looking for very technical, strong people, no problem. If you're looking for language, proficiency people, no problem. If you are looking for combination, that is an issue, because that's in China. It's not like India. That's kind of like we talk about compare what we call our strengths and weakness with India company. Indians, the strength is that their native, their kind of language is English. Although they speak it's kind of like not a very standard accent, but the people can understand in the North America. They have advantage. But in China, the people with good language skill, normally they graduate from we call a little art or kind of like an English major. They do not have their kind of like a major in IT or the vertical, say finance or whatever. So the people or with the combined skills has higher values. And this is also kind of average speaking. you can hire fresh graduates in China. It's also now, used to be kind of like the salary for the fresh graduates is very narrow, no big difference. But now in China, it's a big difference. For example, if I hire Tsinghua University undergraduate, fresh graduates, I pay 8,000 RMB pre-tax. Well, that doesn't include all those benefits. Benefits cost me about 51% in China now. That's nowadays. And if I hire, they say, it's still a tier 1, but not a key top 10. I pay now roughly 6,000 RMB annual. That's 1,000 US dollar. The money I talked about always in Chinese money. So Tsinghua 8,000, and the tier 1, but not a top 10, 6,000. And for the tier 2, I'm paying 4,000 RMB. That's basically, well, think about it this way. That's why my customer and partners can talk with me and say, hey, your costs are so low. We pay you US dollar, you pay the RMB. And then it seems like, say, I pay you $3,000, you pay your employees less than $1,000, you make, a big profit. And then when I can itemize all kind of expense on the, benefits, and also there's a management overhead, everything. And then they think, figure, you want to make it. You are really kind of for you, it's to make your profit go also challenging. So this is talking about a purely fresh graduates. If I'm looking for a from market hire, it's for example, from a company A, hire someone with experience, say 3 years graduates, undergraduate, just a bachelor, I pay now 6,000 RMB. 5 years, I pay 9,000 RMB. 8 years, 5 years, 5 years at 9,000. And 8 years, I pay it's hard to say. I can say it's from 12,000 to 15,000. This is pre-tax, not include all benefits. I say 51%, always think about it. And these are kind of normally here. When I say the combination, if the person who, especially has an overseas study experience, then the value that if his qualification or her qualification is good, with English proficiency plus the vertical, say finance or whatever, the manufacturing, then the price will be double. The reason why is kind of, as I say, I talk to partners, say, I can find a fresh graduate with the IT, 3,000, 4,000 per month. I can find a finance 3,000, but if added together, it's not 8,000. It will be triple because it's hard to find combined skills. So that's kind of, so demands on the kind of demand side. So from the industry world, we will get doing after recruiting, we will do this training. But from academic, say university, if they can do, you can do early some a combined skill training that will make them more valuable and also easy to find a job. Yeah, as I said, this is a private university. They're kind of the job seeking or the hiring opportunities are 90% plus. But this said is 95%, which means they can say 100 people graduate within 3 months, they must have a job. That's kind of cool, 95%. So it's kind of high. Yeah, that's kind of we will supply lack of leaders and middle up, managers. That's kind of because this is a company's specific case because it grows so fast. So if you look at, I can say, even you talk to the managers at this company, at their age 28, they can become the middle level manager because the company is going so fast. Average age, this company was established in 1991, so by now it's at 23 years, so it's a young. And also, the globalization, the challenge. As I said, we have a challenge. It's a world looking at us. It's a challenge. gap between HR demand supply in industry. One is from headcount-wise, another is from a scale-based side-wise, and then it's a globalization. It's from a market globalization also bring a massive amount of the opportunity. So I think now it's almost, I don't know, it's a big name. They have a branch in China. Even Facebook, I think CEO now in Beijing, he's learning Chinese, I guess. So everyone's, there's a big opportunities out there and also big challenges. The biggest challenge is shortage of qualified resources, the talents. And I think that this is just to give a picture. I think this is Xi Jinping, that's the president. I think he was elected president last year, and then immediately after his election as a president, and he visited Neusoft, the company, and on the left side is our CEO. That's a kind of white hair. Yeah, he's not that old. His age is like Bill Gates. I think he was born in 1955, so 59 years old. And this is a picture that shows, and also U.S. government is really also care about the university education. I think this is the assistant secretary of the state. I think I visited Neusoft. That was 2008, and he visited the university. I toured her. I can see, his delegates to the university and show we call virtual company. And this university and our company is gave we call seed money to the kind of like board of students. And you can build a virtual company. For example, I can say, I were a CEO, you probably CTO, CFOs, whatever CMO, and the four of us together, and then we can apply a project. We are thinking about some project is cool, and we'll definitely add value to the company, and then we apply and send a proposal to the company. There is a BU or division dedicated for handling this kind of like applications, and if it's approved, and then the seed money goes to your company. While you can study, you still can work on the project. And also even the company will help you to get the fund from other institutions. So they're working together, students can study and doing project together. As soon as you graduate, you probably already can qualify the CEO or CTO. So this is it's an incubation, give you the opportunity to running your own company or running project virtually. So that's kind of like the assistant secretary. So the next is kind of like a case study, how a Chinese IT company narrows the gap. I already talked how did the gap. So this is like the bird view of the university. This university and it's fully owned by Neusoft. NEU stands for Northeastern University, which, because lots of people ask it, it's a NEW, so no, it's NEU. It stands for Northeastern University. Yeah, this company came out from this university, and our CEO chairman still now is a deputy president or vice president of the Northeastern University. It's really interesting. He's the CEO of company, and he still held the vice president title of the Northeastern University. And the Northeastern University, it's really, really complicated. It's owned by government because it's a public university. This university owns 17% share of the company. So, Paul, you got it? I don't know if I make it clear. So the company came out from the university because the university gives seed money to the company. So the company, the university owns 70% of university. 17. Yeah. Alpine is a shareholder. It's a big, like high-end, the electronics, car, audio, video stuff. And Toshiba is a big shareholder. And Intel is a big shareholder. I think SAP also a big shareholder. And this one is big shareholder. The university, Northeastern University. Not Neusoft Information College. That's a different story, yeah. So, but so people asking, what is that kind of Neusoft a government owned? I say it's really hard to say. It's kind of like because the shareholder has Intel, SAP, Toshiba, all those international companies, plus a university. University is owned by government, so you can think about that way. So the market cap for Neusoft now today is standing at like 16 billion RMB. It's a little bit over 25 billion US. And then this university owns 70%. So the university has a lot of money to spend. Yeah, they can spend a lot of money. And this one is a Dalian campus because this university and this campus has 12,000 students, right? And 800 employees, including faculties, staffs, and also, administration, right? And also, I think this is far whole back. It's a kind of like a dorm. If you have opportunities, welcome. And also, this university has, I can say, very close relationship with North American universities. And if you have a chance, welcome to visit our university. And if you have, time, and appreciate if you can offer, intensive course or seminar, over there. And this is kind of like HCM is a headcount, can say management. I will quickly, do not can say, because we talk about can say, this chart. As I said, if you look at this company, was founded in 1991. I think it's less than 10 people, and the founder only 3 people, and I joined the company. It's 2005. After I retired from Microsoft in Seattle, Redmond. So I joined the company, that time was 6,500 people. That was 2005. So think about by the 2012, its employee hit, it's 23,000. So it's a triple. So think about how you can hire. You're considering, the turnover. Let's say average 8%. If you got a kind of 20,000 people, you have 1,600 turnover. And also this is kind of like a forced and it's unforced. So, and then you're still adding new people. So I will show you next, there's a picture here, very interesting. Here you go. This picture. If you look at this picture, by 2012, this company hired 8,000 plus employees, which means HR department or division must be very, very busy. Yeah, right? So hire 8,200 new employees. You have to train them. So that's a big, right? But now it's a slow down. It's gradually slow down. So from 2003, it's a keep up. 2000, and also you see, financial crisis. You will see it's a drop, slow down, and then keep up. So now it's slow down. This slow down, I think I believe there is kind of like we call it the strategic transition for the company, because Neusoft major business is called IT service, provided turnkey solutions to the industry. But now, because everything is cloud-based, so we are talking about provide cloud-based services to industry, not solutions. Solution is kind of like you sell solution or software, but cloud-based services are different through cloud. So now is in a transition. Another thing is that I can say also I think a little bit related to government anti-corruption, because now this year the grant, the funding from the government is much less than the previous years. So maybe next year we are picking up, but at the current year, yes, it's down. If you look at our case, I think the third quarter, the report, financial report, just came out, I think October 20th, and the revenue is only like 5 billion for the first 3 quarters, 5 billion RMB, or in RMB. Profit only about like less than 300 million, so 6% roughly. Right. So I'm back a little bit here. So that's kind of like how we did. You can see we still talk about the 3 core now values are fair, just, and open. The employees, you can see, when you hire employees, they are part of a family. This is kind of a little bit different compared to the other companies. And because these companies came out from a university, so as a kind of employees, the people or employees, junior employees, all called the senior employee teacher, not like a boss. In China, they call 总. It's kind of like a boss. But in this company, always a teacher. It's kind of mentoring system. It's like a student and a teacher. That's kind of keep very good relationship, sticky, much better than a company way. So more traditional. And also, I think it's like the other company, like Microsoft. We also have a kind of like a mentoring system. When you come to company, join the company as a fresh graduate, and then this middle management will assign a mentor for you for the next 3-6 months to evaluate. Well, first, to help you to learn quickly, and another is evaluate your learning curve or learning path, so how to your growth. And this is kind of like we call it the business excellence supported by HCM. We talk about 3 key factors now here. People is in the center, very important. Process is called CMMI. I think it's a Kennedy Manon is talking about the process maturity. That's kind of like a KPI, the major. And also this PCMM is called People CMM. I think less than 10 companies in the world, global, acquired this PCMM level 5. Neusoft is the only one in China. Yeah. And also we call Neusoft, that's a technology. It's called a Neusoft Solution Architect. So it's 3 combined together. That's basically, now working as a business excellence model. This is talking about how we acquire all those certificates, Talent cultivation and recruiting. So, as I said, I spent talking about, we hire lots of fresh graduates from this private university. However, we only hire, say, 10 to 15%. Think about the 26,000 the students and divide by 4, assuming, the size keeps stable. Then it is about like 6,500 people. We only hire 1,000 annual from this university, which is 10 to 15% of the graduates. It's 1,000. And the rest people still hiring from working with the other university. We want to make sure diversified the source of the recruiting. And also we hire from market. Right. So this is kind of like in the past, we are facing severe talent shortage at early years. So we work with Northeastern University and train technical talents we need through offering software courses. So we kind of like, we call it customized. We work also with although we have kind of university, private university, we also work with the other public university. We go to the public university, for example, because For some kind of like the domain area, we do not have kind of what they call the leverage, or we do not have qualified the instructors. So we go to the other public universities. We talk to those universities, say, we want a XY size class with some kind of skills at a certain time. And then they do kind of a customized class for us in China. I don't know if that is feasible in Canada or in the US. I haven't heard about it. But in China, yes, you can do that. Because now lots of university, I think the key KPI for the university is what percentage of graduates get job after they graduate. I think that's one of a KPI. So as long as they can keep, get the students get a job, I think they work that way. As long as for the first 2 or 3 years, they follow the curriculum of the Ministry of Education. The rest they can do flexibly. And also being engaged in improving human capital management. And also we call it, talent-centered business ecosystem, drive long-term sustainable growth. So we work with the industry, academic, and also in our partnership. So that's what we do education is that, as I mentioned, for example, Fidelity send instructors to our private university because we are not good at financial industry. So we have to work with our partner or customer. I say, okay, please send instructors in the financial industry. Or if we work with Boeing, they need a kind of stuff. Boeing is also our customer. So they send the people to us. I think John Wu is also kind of like, I think it's a very senior person. They come to university and give kind of like a short-term kind of intensive seminar or course talking about the manufacturing industry. So that's basically what we work with partner, with academic, and also we are in the industry. We also work with the other, what we call our partner in other industry. This page is already kind of like a talk about it, we say select the most excellent graduates from 4 IT engineering-oriented Neusoft University. It's interesting. I always mention we have 3 campuses. One is in Dalian, another is in Chengdu, and the last one is in Nanhai, is Guangdong. And then why there are the 4th? There is Neusoft has a I think it's a biomedical college in Shenyang, because Neusoft has a JV with Philips. So think about Neusoft, it's like a small Boeing, and it manufactures, it's not manufacturing, it's called assembling. MRI, CT, all medical equipment like a GE, General Electronics. And then when Boeing CIO, and also I think the EVP visit Neusoft and visit that assembling line, he said, this is a small Boeing. He said, we do not manufacture the engine. We buy engine, and we buy the wing, tails, and then we assembling, we integrate it, and then we do testing. And Neusoft is doing the same thing. We outsource our OEM, all hardwares, and then we get those orders and put their parts together, MRI, CT scanner, everything, all medical device, big equipment, and then we put the software. That's what our core value there. And then we do integration. We sell globally. And this is kind of like a part of business. I think it's roughly 2.3 billion annual business for Neusoft. And also maintains acquisition of talents in a large quantity by industry-oriented training programs. We call co-delivered with more than 50 top university. When the top, that's the tier 1, and also it's a key university. I think Northeastern University is roughly top 27 to 30. That's round, right? And also obtain talents through the first-hand experience for Neusoft software talents internship and training base. And then for us, in most cases, it's very, very interesting. And for the intern, we almost hire, I would say 95+% or 98%. If you come to us and sign a contract with an internship, and after the first, let's see, normally internship in our company, we do 6 months internship. A little bit different with the other kind of companies because especially for even the other university, not this private-owned university. We also do 6 months. So normally the students, and after they finish their junior year, that's a senior, the 4th year, they mostly come to the company. I would say, assuming they come to here. Let's say if you graduate next July, August, then most students come to the company around October of this year. Yeah, they do kind of like on and off. If you have finished the thesis, you go to school. And otherwise, they will stick with the company and working. And then after they defense their thesis and then graduate, they will be hired. It's kind of like a new employee. So it's kind of a little bit flexible, right? So we take a lot. Career development, we call it the diversified learning and development resources, because the company always thinking, for IT company, especially like a Neusoft, we are doing people business because the company, I think the people is the key value for the company. Without the people, without the business. And this is a very, very typical. For example, for the lots of business opportunity, I can give you my personal story. When I joined the Neusoft, first the position I was assigned for is called SPM, Senior Program Manager, because I retired from Microsoft, so 9+ years. So they gave me a title like a Senior Program Manager, Project Manager, I believe. The reason why is because EMC is a data storage in the Boston area. They are looking for, they want Neusoft to build a kind of team for them. So they have to find a person they can trust with Western company experience, IT, everything. So I think I was a resources, one of that resources. So it's because of me, my qualification, and then EMC trust Neusoft. So when a big company looking or working with another company or kind of service provider, they are not really, well, they do care about the brand of the company, but when they secure more deep, they are looking for individual person. Who is the key person of a project? If they grant you or give you the project, it's because if this person is qualified or not. So we are saying people is the key for a company. So that's kind of like a philosophy Neusoft. So always, because we came out from university, train, the people. So we've been kind of like keeping in mind, people is the key value of the company. So we have, learning and development. So as I said, when we recruit the people from the university, from a private university, public university, from market, we all doing what we call training. So we recruiting, and then we have a retraining. So that's also Neusoft attract a lot of talents, young talents. It's because if you look at, we were kind of like I think it's a 2009 CCTV Best Employer of the Nation. That's why, because the company offers a variety of training courses, from technology to domain vertical, and even the career management, career growth. So variety of all those, we call it complimentary and a company paid. And also even like people, if you are on the job, we have called a help desk. And you can dial in, and then you can learn English, because on the other side is a native English speaker can talk with you. You have to make appointment, say 1 hour session for one-on-one, talking over the phone. You can learn English, right? So let's say, so to join the Neusoft, more than just a job, it's an environment for Neusoft employees. Help them learn more, develop skill, and challenge oneself. There was a kind of like joking here. when our CEO, Chairman, Dr. Liu said, no company will last forever. It could be something wrong, and the company will disappear someday. If Neusoft, something's wrong, goes wrong, and I believe our employees will get job easily because they have skills, they have been trained, they have value. So it's kind of like the company, so that's the case in our CEO, the original will say. So I hope if something decision or something is wrong and company goes to that direction, I believe most employees of the company will get job easily, and then I will feel relaxed. And also open communication, a mechanism for employees. And I'm not going to, detail this one. Comprehensive salary, multiple employee benefits. It's kind of like, and also because Neusoft is again public, it's like the other companies, so they have a stock grant, and also training, and also lots of cool stuff, and also healthcare plan. Association, and that's kind of a big fun part because there is kind of like the company has a lots of fields, green fields. You can play soccer, you can play basketball, you can play even golf. And now headquarters used to have like a golf, but it's kind of like small, very small kind of range. You can play with, right? And also it's a Neusoft Love Fund. I think that's about it. Neusoft GOS, they call it Garden Office Support. And that's kind of a new initiative because look at it, I think at the right corner of this one. Inside of building, now we put lots of greens inside. I think it is a garden, So maybe offer more oxygen to absorb the carbon oxide. That's it. Any question?
I have two questions for clarification purposes. You say that Toshiba, SAP, Intel, all these are big shareholders. So are they shareholders in the college or in the company?
The company.
In the company?
Yes.
Okay, I see. But collectively, would these foreign companies still be a minority shareholder?
A minority, yes.
Minority shareholder, yes. Okay. And the other one is for the college, okay, because it's private,
That's
it's owned by Neusoft, so it's a for-profit undertaking, okay?
Yes.
Could I say that it's a for-profit undertaking?
Let's put this way. I think it is a private university, but there is a called initiative, or kind of like what they call it, from the government. This university will say make it even. Yeah, not making money.
Okay.
And it's make it even. But I would say they are this size of university anyway. It makes a little bit of money. That's a real story. It makes about let's see, very little. I think it's $3 million US. That's profit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
this
the
is
profit,
size.
okay, so the profit making is not the primary motive, but so breaking even. Let's say if there is a deficit,
Right.
it will be subsidized by the government.
Not about subsidized by the company. We consume by company.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's fully owned private health university. Right. Because again, it's also interesting here. The tuition for this university is like in the US or Canada. It's public is $1. This university is $3. Yeah, 1 to 3. So if you think about the 5,000 Canadian dollar, and then this university is 15,000, 3 times. But even that, still not making money. The reason why is that fancy buildings is that you got a loan from bank. Because I do not think in Neusoft using cash to build this campus. So still kind of like a loan money from bank. And we buy land, and then I think 70 years the rights to use this land. And then put the construction, everything there, and you get a loan from the bank and you pay interest. The interest and also the income. And plus the employees, 800 plus, just this campus. So not profit. Well, for this profit, pure motivation is to reach resources. You have a leverage. Because we have a leverage, we can go to university to select graduates before the others.
And are there any companies in China that would be competitors? I mean, so if we look at the competition, is there any company or university that you would see would be the competition of Neusoft in that sense? For instance, we see that Tsinghua, obviously,
Yeah.
being top, or at least one of the top
Right.
universities, is able to develop something along these lines, right? That they could, I mean, that potentially they could develop something along these lines. So currently, are there any competitors in China that would be, like a company,
Yeah.
university?
Right. I think your question I can put two ways.
Mm-hmm.
One is that I can say because of lots of competitors. I would say in China, when people ask us, what is the competitor of Neusoft in China? And for local company, the answer is no. Now competitors, IBM, HP. Because the Neusoft are considered as we call it a solution provider. Now it's cloud-based services provider to the industry. And so now competitor, IBM, HP, and because HP acquired EDS, so they are more in the service sector. Accenture and CSC Computer Science Corporation. Those are four big competitors. We are, because the majority of our business is in Chinese market. Now our Chinese market revenue is like 7 billion plus, right? So 1 billion plus US. Anyway, so that's a major market we are competing. So all our competitors, if we look at it, because in China you bid for a project, IBM, HP, and Accenture. So we always compete with those companies. Those companies in Chinese market, yes, they also working with like Tsinghua University. And like even Microsoft, they kind of like Kai-Fu Lee used to get like it's here like young generations. So yeah, they work with those universities. We also work. We kind of like we even in some area we collaborate. We compete in some area, but we collaborate in some the other area. So it's not a really purely competition. So we work with not just this private university, and also this public. And but on the other side, I would say now competitors doesn't have a private university. It's too costly, or it's I don't know if it's feasible or not. What I can remember when Mr. Sullivan, Assistant Secretary of the State, visited there, he talked about U.S. should have. I said yes, it does. And this is in the Silicon Valley. I said that's a different. Well, but those are we call them. They call it we call diploma offering, very small size schools. And also in India, I told him, he said that's also different. Those are also intensive. Like Neusoft private university offer 4 years of bachelor degree, master degree, and BA 3 years plus some kind of certificates like Microsoft, Cisco. You are the only one. That's what I was told. I said Infosys has a kind of university somewhere in the Bangalore. This is a different. I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah, a company owns a private university seems like a unique.
I actually have a question about this leverage that you mentioned earlier with this private university. Is that I'm not quite sure what kind of leverage that you were talking about. Is like for example, Neusoft, you want to hire this student from this university.
Right.
does it stop him from getting another offer from
No,
another company?
not at all. Yeah, I think when I say leverage is that because the company grows so fast, and if you look at I think 2013, which year is 8,000 employees hiring. You think about you go to market, go to university, hire 8,000 students, fresh graduates. It's a very, very challenging job. So if you have this university, at least can save you 20% effort because you can get a lot much easier. That's one thing. And also, my philosophy and even the executive of Neusoft, our philosophy is an employee in a company aspire. It's both direction. It's not just one way. I give you a job, I hire you. No, it's kind of like employee choose company, choose to select the employee. It's working together. That can go a long, long way. That's our philosophy. Right. So I think leverage is not blocking the employees. For example, if Neusoft give an offer, say, we'll give you this offer, and HP give the other offer, is better, that's his call.
Did I understand that to be saying that you get 15% of your recruitment comes from this university?
10 to 15%.
10 to 15%?
Yes.
And so you're 85% reliance on market and
other universities.
I guess I'm having a hard time understanding that. It's a very bold move, and a very interesting move for Neusoft to do this. I'm trying to understand how it fits into the balance sheet in terms of, because you, like you say, a better lease. Did you say 70-year lease for the land?
Yeah, 7 years.
Yes, and then there's the interest from the bank loan, and maintaining the buildings and so on. So universities are very high demand, high budget items, right? So how does it fit into the business plan? At 15% recruitment supply, it seems like
Not enough.
Yeah,
Not
I'm
again.
trying to understand how it fits into the general business.
Yes, right. Yeah, we do get actually, it's just Dr. Radley has mentioned, yes. We do get some kind of, we call it, it's not a grant, it's a kind of initiative for the government.
Oh.
Yeah, for the compensation. And then the university, I think is every, what do you call the students admitted to the university, government gave, I think it's 5,000 or 7,000 RMB per year.
Okay.
So we collect the tuition from a student, and then we get the kind of initiative from the government. And then this kind of like make a kind of balance sheet. I list for now,
Right.
the land already be paid off, the land, first time, 70 years.
Yeah.
And that's also an initiative. And for example, say this land, very cheap. We gave, I think it's like we paid 300 million RMB to the government.
Yeah.
But through 5 years, government will through the what we call tax give back, and then give you back those money you paid. For example, can say like we pay 300 million for the land. Next 5 years, because we have to pay the business tax to the city government, and the city government will give us per se every year 40 million. So 5 years, it's 200 million. So we only pay 100 million for the land. So that's kind of like a gift this way.
So it sounds like a strategic business move on the part of government to economic stimulus that works quite nicely, quite symbiotically with Neusoft and its business.
Yeah. And also this one, as I said, Kinsey, because we only use or hire 10 to 15%, fresh graduates from the college. But the other in Dalian, there are lots of like IBM, Accenture, and our partners, they also hire from this. That's why all those graduates, they fully utilize.
It's very impressive, this flexible model you described, isn't it? I don't remember anything like that. Canadian program?
looking at the Korean firms, yes, LG has their own academy, Samsung, but all of these are more geared toward a company, the employees of a company, but whereas you're supplying 85% of the graduates after
That's
working
right.
to the rest of the market itself.
Right.
So I'm just wondering whether this is unique in the world. And then secondly, I mean, obviously it's difficult to get to the, the mind of Dr. Liu, the founder. I mean, it's almost like what made him go into something like this? I know that it's a very entrepreneurial kind of thing in China, being very entrepreneurial. So could it be that this kind of system works where there's a very close collaboration between government and business, which obviously is the case because
Right.
that there's, to a large extent, there is support from the government. So I'm just wondering, when Mr. Sullivan was saying that this is something that the U.S. would want to look at, is this kind of model, can it be duplicated anywhere else in the world? Because simply we don't have that kind of close collaboration between government and I mean, even though it's not, well, I mean, it's government business, but then also academia to a large extent. Particularly we see that academia is academia. Okay.
I would still, that's the first thing. Answer the second question. The first one, I still can make a little bit. I would clarify. For the second one, I would think is for emerging country. If I work in an emerging country, I would do that way. And I think that's a timing. I think for U.S., especially mature like U.S., Canada, North America, it doesn't really make sense to do that. Back to, let's say, 20 years ago in China, or even 30 years ago, in China just opened the door to the West, to the world, and the lack of qualified resources, everything you cannot import, like goods, like resources you cannot get people from outside come in. So you have to train or cultivate your people. And the the graduates at my age, I can remember. I did my master degree, I think, in 1980. That year, the whole nation, only 3,000 master degree candidates. 1980. Who China? I can give you. This is I'm very responsible for this number. And in 1979, that year admitted, I think it's 7,000. That year is more. And then 1978, that's the first we call master degree. I'm not talking about an undergraduate, I'm talking master degree. And 1979, undergraduates, whole nation, I believe it's 350,000. Very little. So it's a big gap between the headcount, the demand, and the supply. And then there's opportunity out there. And the government at that time also promoting, they call private university. They have policy initiatives promoting. I think that's one thing. Another is Dr. Liu, he is from the university. Even now he has the vice president of the university. So he's kind of like, I don't think, it's emotion or his loveness of the, schools teaching. And also, at that time, we call it offshore outsourcing business. It's only growing so fast. And the company cannot get enough the resources from a public university. And that time very interesting. The graduates, IT graduates from a college, they do not want to work for outsourcing company. The reason why is because, for example, most outsourcing, offshore outsourcing business for Neusoft is from Japan. And their program is more kind of mechanical. It's doing kind of one step, very mechanical, no flexibility, no changing. And the people, young kids, want to kind of flexibility, imagination, creativity, but for offshore outsourcing, not that way. So I think that's also another thing. And also, as I said, early domain knowledge transfer is a big issue because when company come to Neusoft, they have some big project. At least like one project, several hundred people. It's like Nokia. We have over like I think it's 1,500 people dedicated for Nokia. Just one company, one big project. So how you can ramp up those people, those resources. So that's kind of demand driven. I think that's historical. I'm not sure if I answer your question regarding this one.
Yeah, I think to a large extent, so this model is more appropriate for emerging markets.
That's right.
Europe. But I'm wondering that you're saying in the case of India, there is nothing that would be equivalent, or at least according to Mr. Sullivan, there is nothing that's equivalent to this because again, Infosys and all these other ones have huge campuses, but again, it's primarily in-house training.
In-house training.
Okay, so I'm wondering why countries with huge populations like India, why this type of model would not work? Because, because it seems to make a lot of sense. I think particularly in the case of India, to have something which would along these lines. So
Yeah.
do you think this kind of model would be transferable?
It's a transferable, but there is a condition. There are conditions. The first, government support. Definitely, without the government support, you can't do that because for the college or say you have a big campus, you got land, you got construction, all those money, and that you get a loan from a bank, everything must be backed by the government. And I think that that's the one. I think yeah, China, not China, India doing this one is great because now if you look at we always compare China and also India. Indian turnover rate is so high. The reason why is because it's kind of demand and supply. Also, it's kind of like a challenge, big challenge. And the people, employees work at this company just next door. So turnover rate is very high for the India. So yes, you are right. Especially for BPO, we call business process BP processing outsourcing, process outsourcing business. Their turnover rate now is staying at 50%. Crazy. 50. Yeah. Their ITO business in India now is standing at like 20 to 25%. In China, the people always give good number, but I can give you some also not good number now. And in China, ITO business turnover rate standing at 15 to 20. Yeah. For tier 1, even higher. And for BPO, it's about 30%. But still, compared to India, it's low. But it's catching up. Yeah.
But for Neusoft, the company, it would be around like 8%?
Neusoft, we kind of like overall around 8 to 10%. But for core employees, we definitely define some core employees or key employees. That's about 3%. We care more about those key person. For example, like I was a key person. So the key person who can get business for the company or can contribute more value to the team. So those kind of employees, we keep like less than 3%.
So would you credit that to the culture of the university?
One is
mentorship and
most on those, and also it's kind of like we sort of call a cultural relationship, very key. It's interesting, and as I said, like senior management team spend a lot of time on all those key talents. And for example, I have to spend like at least every month, I would spend like 10 to 12 days dealing with all the different groups of key members. I have meetings with them, talking about what your needs, what is your expectation, and what can do to make your life here better. You feel like a home. For example, that's another thing is that I can see in China now real estate property so go high. Fresh college can afford buying property, and for Neusoft, and we kind of we lease the property from government. Government build lots of like a commercial apartment. And then we lease from government, say we least like 1,000 rooms from government. And then we give that as a perk to employee. We pay like say 1,000 RMB to government per room, and then we collect 200 from employee, so we can give them 800 because make their life easier. Because they're a startup, like so they feel better. And that's also kind of like companies who feel like, yeah, because you see, I think that's I'm kind of like keep talking about with some other company, the executive thing. We talk about it, people always like hands-on experience, Well, without fresh graduates, everyone graduated from college. I graduated, 30 years ago. And then without those fresh, how you can get hands-on experience? So it's a chicken egg. You can't always get a hands-on. Because from a business driven sometimes, that's a different story. Because some project is a short term, only last 6 months. If you hire fresh college, maybe it's not worth to do that. You must have a hands-on to quickly solve the project problem. But for the long term, I always say, keep your team younger. Because also we have what we call annual company competition, physical competition. We kind of like play basketball, or we call annual athletes big, so like Olympic, small company Olympic. And that's very interesting, yeah. We do that. I say, look at the BU, business division. If you got a champion this year, which means your average age is low. Because young people can get better scores. And then which means your cost is low, average cost. And if you can manage this young team, if their sports is good and their cost is low, and your financial performance is good, must be very good. So how to manage the people also, that's another issue, lots of different. For example, now, at my age, I only manage, I think it's maximum to 80. We call generation, 1980s after. And then for now, as a generation now, it's the 90s, 1990, the born after 1990, they graduate. And then I'm using managing 80s, managing 90s. And then using 70, managing 80, managing 90. Because there is kind of a gap. Yeah. So we have to.
Can I ask one more question?
Oh,
Sure.
Yeah.
This is outside of Neusoft, but a broader question, okay? But it still deals with this, talent issue. China is aging very, very rapidly, okay, as compared with India, which of course is a much younger population.
Right.
So I think the challenge for China in the future would be either the population increases, which is pretty unlikely as people get wealthier.
That's right.
The other alternative is to have, let's say, bring in more foreign employees, particularly from the countries with large populations. So, what do you see would be the future of China as far as this? I mean, if it wants to sustain its growth, even though not the same growth rate, what can China do to deal with this pending labor shortage?
Yeah. Well, I think for the past 30 years, the China economy growth now is like a second, biggest economy body, and most still like labor intensive. And I would say for the next, say, 10, 20 years, we're going to shift gear. It's kind of like everything's made in China. And then maybe we are, I would say we won't be like more like a Boeing. It's kind of like your own IP, generate high value, like a Microsoft. Not just a low level labor intensive. And I also even like for me at a company, I talk to my employees or my management team. I said, for the, let's see, outsourcing, you get a head count. Well, you got one person, I give you $3,000 US. That's customer currently. We call head counts based or T&M. And also it's a fixed price. It's kind of like say, okay, this is a project. I give you X, Y, Z dollars, and then you fix. You But I told them, I said, no, these are not what we are going to do. We are going to do IP based. We're going to use it, totally business model will be different. We can have subscription based. We can have our own IP. That's China, I think, for the next 10, 20 years. That direction, not using the, because our benefit of what called the labors, low cost labor not exist anymore. There's no way. And also China is not an immigration country. And then if you could do immigration, and at least you have to be coming from the emerging country or some kind of like a low cost labor country. There could have been there are social problems. So that's another direction. I think that the China direction would be what you call value added on the high end. And that's basically the trends to do.
We have a souvenir.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Chu.
Thank
That was
you.
very interesting. And thank you to Dr. Group for bringing another good speaker to the Pacific Region Forum.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
so,
you. Thank you. So welcome to, when you get to China, and then I think it's Dr. Leslie Tan, sorry, we connected, I got it earlier, so you visit China, welcome. Maybe you have chance, stop by now, we can see Nanhai campus, give me a short term. Very intensive seminar.
You need 7 hours of
I will be there.